Very good evening, football fans around the world from Super League HQ. I can only apologise. I thought I was doing you all a favour by delaying kickoff to allow you to watch the Man United Chelsea game. It turns out it was dross, and we should have just kicked off as normal. And the managers in our private chat suggested that the FA should have delayed the game for us. We're indeed correct, because it was absolutely awful. But never mind. Here we are, 9:45 on a Thursday night. And I am joined by Gazelle's boss and former Super League chairman, Martin. Good evening, buddy. How are you?
Good evening, Fifey. I'm very well, thank you.
Good to have you with us for the first time this season. Game week 2. Let's dive straight into the questions then. Obviously, you rejoined the league last season. You came in and took over a club. You've had a significant transfer window now, a chance to kind of shape it your way. Do you feel Gazelles are starting to be a bit more of a U squad now?
That's a good question. I think we have better players now than when I took over. We've obviously lost a couple of big names, or have had to give up a couple of big names, but the squad was very tailored to a specific way of thinking and a specific way of playing, and I'm not sure if it was really suitable for the Super League. I'm not saying that my approach in the past has been any better, but we've had to do something. Yeah. So as you can see, the AMC area, which I think I tried to strengthen with Juninho, with Deco, I think it was some other people last season, didn't work out at all. So we've had to dig a little bit deeper, and it's cost us Okoronkwo, which is a shame. And I'm not entirely sure that Nakata and Fiore and players like that will necessarily see a whole lot of first team action. But we've had to do something to try and bring in a little bit more creativity in midfield, because that was severely lacking. Hersey came in, of course, last season as well. A good player. Defensively, I hope we're going to be strong enough, and then have Bartes in goal. And if Nicolas Anelka and Tomadera can score the goals, then we might be in with a chance of not finishing bottom.
You've been wildly tipped to finish bottom, at best maybe 13th. Do you feel that's not exactly justification of the squad you've assembled?
Well, it's fair. It's a fair comment, because we were pretty horrendous last season, and the squad has not massively improved. And I do have a habit of playing tactics that aren't necessarily known to be successful in the Super League. So you can tell there are a number of detractors from our chances of success that make it a fair assessment to say that the Gazelles are likely to finish bottom. However, I think with having brought Dan on board for a bit of a sounding board and a bit of a sort of common sense approach, and with some of the signings that we've made, I think we probably have a decent chance. And as you could see there, I mean, 1-1 against the reigning champions, and we weren't like outplayed or anything in the first half, yes, but I think we came back into it in the second half and made a decent account of ourselves. Jakub, who's just come in, he's getting another start today. We're going to stick with him, but we do have Pamel Bukar, who we could potentially play in that role as well, or we could play one of our now many AMCs. We could probably move down there as well. So I think the squad is looking okay, with Dan on board in terms of the tactical advices and things like that. I think we've probably got a decent chance of not finishing bottom.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what Team Gazelles have in store for us over the course of the season. Good evening to everyone in the chat. I've said hello to a few of you already, but aside from the obvious names, we're seeing Fuddled Fox is with us again. Good to have you with us. And another new name, Rodeo Bibbins. Good evening to you as well. It seemed everyone wants to play late tonight for no obvious reason, Martin, but there's a couple of suggestions for where to go first. I'll let you decide. Would you like to kick off with the big one, Devils Dragons, or should we get defending champions Dudley Hill on early with their trip away to Leddersford?
Oh, both games very, very interesting. I think were Leddersford quite vocal about being on first. I think there was some swearing going on. So, we can take Leddersford first.
Let's go to Ledesford first then and have a look at what Mr. Potato Mourinho has done. So, opening day, they got a 3-1 drubbing at the hands of the New Look Dragons. It was a decent performance, though, by Ledesford. It's just Dragons were ruthless in front of goal. This is what they go with this time, and the big news is the signing has finally gone through, as you can see on the news screen on the right hand side as well. So they have their man in, and just look at what that does to the defensive midfield line on the tactic.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I'm a gigantic fan of Neil Scally, but
that's well documented.
He's obviously been putting up some numbers over the years, so fair play. Yeah, definitely with NDI in there. I mean, Christian Krug and Chris Perry, that's an odd pairing. Taibi obviously good enough in goal, but I think it'll make a huge difference for them to have NDI in there next to Scally. I think he's been a key performer wherever he's been. I think he was at Hools. Has he been anywhere else? But anyway, he's always been a big name, and he's always delivered when called upon. Rayad, I mean, it's the manager's favorite, isn't it? He plays Esteberia on the right hand side is proven there. Rayad's actually developing quite nicely as well. We'll see if he can deliver something this season. Ronaldinho, Van Nistelrooy, it's a strong squad. I mean, there's no two ways about it.
Does Ronaldinho flatter to deceive, and he gets a reputation because of his name and maybe his career outside of the Super League? I mean, he gets decent ratings. There was a couple of years, his first 2 years at Ledesford, he got very high ratings. There was the 1 year where he had the 17 goal contributions, but last year 7, the year before that 7. Admittedly, that was shared between another 4 while he was still at Devils. And that was if I remember rightly, that was the championship winning season. 12 the season before. Do you expect a little bit more from him?
Yeah, I think we are sometimes, and myself, we're guilty of, when we look at the players and assess them, we compare players to how we expect them to perform in saves outside of the Super League. If you look at the amount of goals scored by the top scorers at the end of the season, it's usually not that high. I mean, maybe if you get 20 goals in a season, you're doing exceptionally well. So if an attacking midfielder can get maybe 7, 8, 9 goals, maybe you shouldn't be so disappointed. But you're right, his contribution could perhaps be seen as falling a little bit short of expectations, but not as bad as some would make out.
This has a potential to be a very interesting game. Just one draw in the history of this save, and if you just look in the last 4 fixtures, it seems to suit the home side. It's normally a win by 1 goal, but look at that: 3-2, 3-2, 2-1, 2-1. So we could be in for a cracker here. Let's have a look at the defending champions then. As we saw earlier, you got a good up close look at them on Sunday. What do you make of what Steve's done with the team now that he's won it? Do you think there's enough about it to go and do that elusive retention that's only ever been done once?
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously done a lot of dealings inside the Super League, as you can see there. It's only Andy Johnson that's come in that looks like it has the foreigner thing next to him. I think most of the other managers have quite a few. It's a really strong side. I mean, they're strong at the back, strong DMCs, good wing backs. Johnson, I mean, he played well against us. I'm not consoled on Nikiforenko. I think he has better options. But then D'Alessandro, is it that D'Alessandro he has as well? But he's never really done it in the Super League either, has he? So he has to, I think he just has to try what he can in that AMC role.
The thing with that one is, obviously, Roy Mackay had an excellent season, really, last year, the title winning season. Steve said that he was going to essentially keep that triangle at the top intact, and then game 2, he's taken Mackay out, dropped him to the bench, and put Nikiforenko in. You might argue that's a bit harsh, 6 rating after 1 game, but I'm sure it's not like we're not going to see him again.
No, I think with the season that he had last time out, I think he's likely to come back. What's Adolfo looking like these days anyway, just out of curiosity?
He looks a little bit like this, Martin.
Yeah, I mean, it's good creativity and passing and good off the ball. I mean, he could try him. Technique, teamwork. His other stats are like trash, not Super League level, but maybe it's one of those intrinsic players, you know.
I'm just seeing in the chat there that Tato was saying if the save was carrying on and Dino didn't score more than 7 this year, he'd be selling him. Back on our previous comments, and Dimble saying
Yeah.
Steve loves the old club jinx in his team. He does. He's mentioned that before. So let's get on with the first game of the evening then, and I will ask you for your first score prediction, please, sir.
Yeah, I think Dudley Hill going to struggle. I mean, they've got 2 difficult away games, obviously, coming here at the start of the season. So I think Leddersford with the squad with NDI in there, I think Dudley's going to struggle to score. So I don't think it'll be as exciting as the last couple of encounters, but maybe a 1-0 or a 2-1 for Leddersford.
Okay, home win predicted by Martin. Let's kick off then and see what happens. It is a pile driving effort from Dudley to start off. They have had an attempt or two, but here come Leddersford. It's Lee Chun-so on 21 minutes that opens the scoring. Dudley trying to get a very quick equaliser, failed to convert, and now Leddersford start streaming forward themselves again. And plenty going on in the attacking areas for Leddersford, it seems, but just not managing to create that chance that's going to double their lead. And here come the champions themselves, trying to knock at the door. Can they get a leveller before half-time? And they have it. It's Luca Toni on 41 minutes. Luca Toni levels things up, and the referee brings the game to half-time. There seemed to be a lot of text, not necessarily a lot of chances, I would suggest, Martin. As I click over to match stats, there's actually maybe a couple more than I was expecting there. Certainly a lot going on, and although it was flashing by quite quickly, all the important names in the teams were getting plenty of mention. Lee Chun-so, Luca Toni, for example, were getting referenced quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's always nice to see Lee Chun-so being involved. Because I think it was Scott who brought him in. On the previous iteration of the Super League, yes. I think he brought him in, if I remember rightly. Good to see him doing well. Good to see that he's still hanging about in the Super League and delivering. Yeah, not entirely surprised that Dudley. I mean, Luca Toni. Strange player. I remember him. He was at Gazelles, he was with Craig anyway, and he went away to the Oceania Championship or whatever, yes, and scored a hatful of goals and came back and never really did anything in the Super League. But he's really had a tune out of him, Steve here. So yeah, interesting to see him up against Perry and Krug, and obviously, I mean, although they're getting 8s, then Tony on the score sheet. So an interesting and even first half and definitely deserved result based on the distribution of chances, I think.
I've just clicked over while you were saying there into the Leddersford stats, as you alluded to, and this is obviously the opportunity for the managers to make a couple of changes. While they have while Tato in particular has a look at his, what's been your thoughts on the addition this year put forward of being able to make tactical changes and the brief second half stoppage as well? Were you in favour, or are you going to make use of it because it's there, but you would have been quite happy without it?
I was adamant that it would be a disaster before I saw it in the Swamp League, so I didn't have an opinion on it. I mean, my opinion on it in the Super League was formed based on seeing how well it worked in the Swamp League. I considered it to some extent before. I think we originally had like conditional substitutes that people would submit on emails, like if losing, then swap this player for that player. Then we moved to instructions at halftime. But it's worked really well in the Swamp League. I mean, it's obviously also a credit to the guys over there for running it so well. So I knew that my only concern is that if people start to overcomplicate it or not be live in the chat or whatever. So, but as long as we run it in the same way that it was done in the Swamp, I think it will be I think it is already a really good addition to the Super League, and I was definitely for it. I could have lived without it, don't get me wrong, but I think having that option makes it a little bit more interesting and also encourages people to watch along, of course.
Oh, absolutely. And I have to echo the sentiments of how well run Swamp was, and exciting to know that in one guise or another it is on its way back. Let's have a quick look at Dudley Hill then, and a couple of interesting stats or ratings here. Luca Toni, only the one shot on target, he scored it, but a 9 out of 10 rating in the first half.
Yeah, very solid for him. And Kalatza as well is another interesting player. Maybe not someone who's mentioned super often, but I think he's really solid.
Kalatza fan.
Yeah, and he's, I mean, with good reason in this game. Interesting to see.
Very well last year.
Oh gosh, yeah, absolutely, and has done very well wherever he's been. So I'm surprised that he's been sort of moving around so much. Rio Ferdinand not doing particularly well, I noticed.
No, Ferdinand's an interesting one. Obviously, didn't have the best of time at Gazelles. Went to Loco, did reasonably well second half of last season, but was allowed to leave for the defending champions.
Yeah.
Have we seen Stee in the chat at all? I've been kind of allowing him any time, but I don't think I've actually seen him in the chat. So we'll carry on. No word from the defending champion. So let's see if that change for Ledisford does alter things. And Ledisford go 2-1 up, and it's Van Nistelrooy very quick into the second half. Gives the home side the advantage again. Dudley come forward, looking for a second equaliser, and they get it, this time through Saviola just after the hour. And, well, I've clicked on Dudley knowing that Stee isn't here, so we'll allow Tato to make any changes he wants to. At this stage, it's always difficult when you've taken the lead twice, pegged back twice. What does Tato do? Does he think there's clearly enough in this team to go for another goal, or there's something wrong to keep conceding so quickly?
I mean, Kufre's got to be better than Christian Krug, hasn't he? No? Or is that my imagination?
Yeah, but it's Christian and Perry go large, isn't it? A play on the Kevin and Perry.
Yeah, I guess. Could you not have bought like Kevin Prince Boateng or something there to make it? Either way. No, I don't know if he has. I don't think any of. I mean, he could put Constantino on, but for who? Yeah, I don't think he has anything really that he anything really that he could do here. I don't think. Maybe move Ronaldinho out, take Rayad off, put Constantino on at AMC. I don't know.
Tato in the chat, are we not doing the 60-minute subs? Yes, I clicked it as quick as I could. The time flew by. Rayed off for Constantinu is the sub being done, and then Chunny at left mid. Yeah, and 2 up top with 1 in behind. So a little bit like that is what Ledisford are going with. Do you think, does that look stronger in your opinion, Martin?
6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I mean, the AMCs usually do really well in the league, don't they? So to have 2 up top against 2 direct opponents in defense, I'm not sure if it'll be better, but maybe Ronaldinho can run in between and do something there. Constantino, the Cypriot waiter, yeah, I mean, he had an okay season at Dragons there at the end, but I mean, that's a low average, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but I mean, in fairness, if you look, yes, it was only 3 goals last year, but it was only 8 starts as well. He was never given an extended run, I suppose.
No, true, but he isn't. I mean, he also isn't a starter.
He hardly featured for Alf at all when he came in at Ledisford. Those were mostly at the start of the season.
Yeah, well, we'll see what he can do, or what he can come up with in the last 20 minutes. See if he can make a difference.
Well, 20 minutes to go. Substitution made, and we'll slow the commentary down as this game is still very much in the balance. Here comes Lucatoni and Saviola. Felt like you waited for Steve to equalise. Yes, because I have full control of when Steve equalises, Tato. Here come the home side again, but goes into Rosette. Perry intercepts, ball goes out of play, throw in to the defending champions. And now Johnson, but it's intercepted. Ball is going out of play a lot. And Zanetti, Tony goes out in his corner. Here come Dudley again, and now Johnson chips it into the box. And it's cleared, and now Ledisford have the chance to come forward. And there's a nutmeg. Oh, his debut, no, so close. 88 minutes now on the clock. We move into injury time. And maybe one last chance for the home side. Are they going to do it in the 94th minute? Constantinu! Oh, it's gone wide. And the game finishes 2-2. Definitely an entertaining start to the action tonight. And probably a fair result looking at chances created for one stat, Mine.
Yeah, second half was just a little bit mental in terms of sort of sporadic chances here and there, as you mentioned, ball going out of play quite a fair bit, and then obviously Constantino with the chance there at the end, which skipped past two and unfortunately put it wide. Leathersford could have won it there at the death, but overall, Tato I think is going to have to be happy with enough with that performance. Apart from the two defensive lapses, 2 goals from 3 shots on target is never the best.
Well, let's have a look at the performance, and we say that there are certain certainties in life. You're born, you pay tax, you die, and Ndiaye gets a 9. It's almost a certainty, but what a debut that is. Just look at some of those stats. The passing, almost 100% completion, 19 attempted tackles, 13 complete, winning 50% of his headers as well. What a debut performance.
Yeah, a very strong performance from Ndiaye there. I'm be so pleased with that signing, Tato. It's going to be very important for them for the rest of the season, especially when Neil Scally puts up shit like that with a 6. You can't. It's fine if you want to play him. Yeah, play Wellens, play Scally, play Collins, play all these players, but you're not doing yourself any favors. I do enough dumb shit that I shouldn't do to know when other people do dumb shit that they shouldn't. So if they want to play him, that's fair play. At least he has got Ndiaye next to him now, but a good performance from Ronaldinho there. If we want to talk about the positives, a 9 and an assist for him, that's more like it, I think, from Ronnie. And a goal from Van Nistelrooy. So and Ndiaye playing super well. Yeah, it's just a tweak here and there, and that Leathersford side is not someone I would fancy my chances against. But as long as he's got Chris Perry and Chris Krug in central defence, then let's hope for us all, I think.
Let's have a look then at Dudley Hill, whose manager turned up at full time just to see the result. Luca Toni, 10 out of 10 performance by him, according to the ratings. Zanetti and Lizarazu continue to have strong games out wide. Although I do note that Lizarazu's fitness has taken one hell of a beating. It's not often a player finishes the game on 68%, but then I also notice Ado as well on 69. So maybe they're just working exceptionally hard.
Perhaps that's the case. Lizarazu's got to be about my age as well, hasn't he? So it's probably maybe plays a small part. Oh, he's actually 7 years older. Well, fair enough. But yeah, no, I think good performance from Luca Toni. I'm pleased to see him going places in the Super League. Many headers from him, as you'd expect. This seems to be working quite well for him. Yeah, I think on the balance, I don't know if he'll be happy having only 2 points from 2 games. It's 2 away games though, and he only had 3 chances in this one. Maybe something to look at. I still think that I will never do another bit of business as swapping Bartes for Ferdinand. I'm not saying Ferdinand is bad, but here he is with a 6, and yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame for Dudley because overall they played well and they did well to get back in it twice.
And just linking to your point about positives, as Duggan says there, 2 in 2 for Rude, 2 in 2 for Luca. Both managers will be very happy that their main talisman are off and running for the season.
Yeah.
And Steve says he's very happy. Game number 2. There was someone else who was happy to go early. Who was? Oh, it was Dragons Devils, wasn't it? So let's go there and have a look at what's going on at Dragons. Bowyer injured is the big news. Lazan's away on international duty as well. We saw earlier they had the excellent start with the home win over Leathersford. This time they are away at Devils, who they've only beaten the once, but that was last season in the last fixture between these two sides. The infamous win, Jamie over Hodgie, and this is what Duggan has come up with tonight. A slight tweak on the last game. Veron moves back into centre midfield, Ortega into attacking mid. I think that's the only change from last time out, other than the tactical tweaks that they've done. Yeah, Raquel may swap in over to allow Ortega to come in. What do you make of the Dragons outfit?
I think it's very strong. Their bench and reserves must be absolute dog shit with the amount of swaps that they must have made to get to the squad to where it is now. But it's very strong. It's very strong. I think it's solid with Ortega, Riquelme, Veron, those 3. David's a little bit old, but still doing super, super well. He plays well until he's 34. I think his numbers are pretty much unchanged for another season or 2, if not. Bauma I like on the left-hand side. Biscan, I mean, he's solid. I wouldn't say he's one of my favorite players, but he's definitely solid. Ehiok, I mean, not quite Chris Perry level, but still maybe not the best. But he has good numbers. Yeah, he puts up some good stats, and his performance was definitely excellent for Dragons last season. Next to Giuliani, who's a proven player as well. They've got a really strong squad, the Dragons.
No, absolutely. Let's have a look then at Rob's Devils side, and Kuhl's injury means that they are able to tweak it, and they start with the three up top, and they've gone with Henry and Penza and Kesman. Other than that, the rest of the side is the same. So you've got Ferguson and Wellens in midfield. They've got the three in the sort of defence midfield line, and the ever reliable Montero and Nesta in front of Frey. It continues, no matter who's in charge, they've got a wealth of options, and it kind of, although this tactic is obviously a bit different to what Devils are used to playing, it just always looks very strong, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does look very strong. Slightly surprised to see Oya still playing, but I mean, I guess I thought they had better options at DMC, but he's not bad. He's definitely not a bad player. But Soroczynski is there, could play across the back and do a solid job, and maybe put Van Bronckhorst centrally. I think he's done very well for Devils centrally before, but he's also done well in getting a bunch of assists on the wing. So he has many options. I'm not sure what Tonton Sola Mukuku is doing here, but yeah, I guess. I mean, Aymar, Deisler, Thomason, I'd pick all three in front of him. But
Aymar is the one that surprises me that he's not involved. Hodgie already saying Soroczynski needs to come home. Again, a player who's synonymous with Hodgie sides.
And he's got Gardner. I mean,
not just Gardner, but
he paid 11 million
pounds.
He paid him
worth
11 million for Gardner, and he's not playing him when he could play Van Bronckhorst centrally. But I mean, decisions are made, and we'll see what the outcome is. It's still very strong, regardless of whether I agree or not. It's still very strong.
Greavesy's saying, "No, Pablo, this is a hate crime." Let's go to kickoff then and ask you for your predictions for this one.
I mean, Devils still very strong, and they are at home. I'm going to go for a Desmond for this one, like we had in the first. So.
Okay, let's see if you are right then. Devils off to a very quick start, but failing to convert the first two chances of the game. They've had another couple. They are trying to score very early. Another good save goes out for a corner. Dragons holding on in this first 10 minutes and then go up to the other end and score. It's Veron. On 13 minutes, it gives the away side the lead. And maybe we're on to a run of Dragons going 11 games unbeaten against Devils. Who knows? Well, actually, no, we know, because this save isn't lasting another 11 games between these sides. Approaching half an hour, still 1-0 to the away side. Still Devils stream forward. And what a massive moment this is. It's a red card for Mark Giuliano, the former Devils defender. Dragons a goal up, but a man down. As Greasy says, what is an Oya? So, obviously, Duggan is going to make a defensive change here. We're going to see Juan come on, almost certainly. Ortega, do you imagine, coming off, and Riquelme playing behind Sigalko on his own?
Maybe. I mean, if he's a little bit brave, he just drops Said back, David's back, and then puts Veron centrally and carries on.
Or possibly even drops Riquelme back as well.
Yeah, could do that as well, and then go two, and then Ortega behind Sigalko up top. But he's definitely got options without even making a sub. I have no idea what Juan is, but presumably he's someone who can do something. Let's see.
Well, we had the right idea, but the wrong player. It's Riquelme coming off for Juan. Two at the back with Ortega central. Have we seen Rob in the chat yet? Because he is allowed, with this being a red card, to make an alteration himself.
A counter alteration.
Indeed, a counter alteration. I mean, already a goal down as well, but a man up. Although, if I remember rightly, and I should remember because I've only just looked at this. Oh no, I wondered if Bostock had a man sent off as well. I had a feeling that they had. if you're Devils, even though you're a goal downer, you must be feeling relatively confident at this stage you're going to get back into this. I mean, they've been peppering the goal the opening 15 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think even if Rob was there, I don't think I'd change anything. He's still got three up top. He's still with an attacking formation. Maybe at halftime or at 60 minutes, put some arrows on the MCs. But for now, I would leave it as is.
Well, he hasn't posted anything, so we carry on towards halftime. As Dragons come forward looking for a second, are they throwing caution to the wind? Now Devils reasserting a bit of dominance here. Dragons having another spell themselves as we head towards 4 minutes added on time in the first half. And there it is, it's Kesman, who I believe is a former Dragon himself, making it 1-1 on the night at half time. And Brett Hugo, and a different name in the referees department for me. I don't recognise him, but he certainly made a name for himself. He calls the game to half time, 1-1. 10 attempts on goal from the Devils in that first half. It did look like they'd had a fair few. Only 5 on target, but crucially going in at the break level, Martin.
Yeah, I think Rob, wherever he is, will be quite happy with that performance in the first half. I mean, not happy to concede, but the way they've responded and just kept playing. There's no real sense of panic or anything amongst the team there. They just continue to plug away with the three up top and getting hopefully for them getting the goals.
Just in case he is hovering in the background, we'll show this. Look at Giovanni van Bronckhorst with his 9 out of 10 rating at halftime, and Penza as well, having a decent go, although only the one attempt, and it wasn't even on target. Kesman's certainly taking responsibility, although Thierry Henry as well. So Mpenza playing in the middle, perhaps suffering a little bit for having 2 men too close to him, taking his chances.
Yeah, it's difficult. I think when you play 3 both at the back and up top to get the guy in the middle to work really well. Although I would say for the front 3, it's usually the 2 on the side of the guy. It's the guy in the middle who gets all the goals, and the other 2 that do nothing. But seems to be a little bit turned around here. It's probably also how the individual players play in all the different positions. I'm not entirely sure how that really works out. Yeah, I don't know for Devils. I was surprised to see that Oya. I mean, he's not here, so he can't put Sorochinski on, but Oya was on a 6, yeah. So speaking of 6, there's a few 6s there.
There is a few 6s there. I'm just drop David's back to. So I think I'm just trying to make sure I get this right. So drop David's back to the end. So I think we want that.
Mm-hmm.
Bish scan to CM alongside Veron, and Ortega back to here. Keep Arrow as is on Veron. Okay, so yeah, Duggan's trying to tighten it up for the second half, seeing the amount of chances they conceded in that first half. Does it make sense, in your opinion, to do it that way?
Yeah, indeed. I mean, they've still got a point out of this one if it stays as it is. I mean, if they try to go forward, then the way that the Devils have been playing in the first half, that's not going to end well. They're going to concede, so at least 1, if not 2. So I think it makes sense to do a bit of a defensive approach here, especially when the opposition manager isn't available to respond. So I would have probably gone with something similar.
There've been a couple of fairly kind ratings, particularly in the first game and this game at halftime. I'm surprised Shiotis is only on an 8. I thought, he has made a number of saves. Yes, he has conceded one, but his goal's been absolutely hammered at in that first half. So I think he's maybe a bit harsh to only have the 8.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, he's got the whole second half to earn himself a 9. I'm sure he'll get plenty of opportunities to make saves.
Well, we kick off the second half. The tactical change for Dragons, seeing if they can stop Devils a little bit. We approach the hour. We've passed the hour, so we will stop the game to allow Duggan any additional changes he wants to make here. No further goals. And Dragons actually looked quite in it and created or at least getting into the position to create a chance or two themselves in that opening sort of 20 minutes of the second half. So they're giving it a good go, aren't they? And as Tato says in the chat, they've got some serious myths, but they've got about 8 match winners, so they don't need to play well to win. It's intriguing. They have got the talent, even with 10 men, to get a result here, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, why not try super sub Fernando Morientes up top? That could be an option. I mean, no, Tsigalko is obviously match winner extraordinaire, but I don't know, if he wants to throw the dice, he could do that. He wants to see Condition. I mean, they've not done anything. They've just been standing at the back. I think everyone's still fully fitness. So
and just hitting the ball up to Sigalka.
Hitting the hope. So no, as is, I would probably say, and he does
Duggan
say as
has
is.
gone as is. We will just bring up the stats for 30 seconds or so, just in case Rob's turned up for his fixture. I haven't seen him, so I don't expect him to be doing anything. But it's just in case. Are you envisaging a winner coming from here from what you've seen? And if so, is it only Devils you can see winning, or can you see Dragons nicking it?
No, I think Devils. I still think Devils are in with a very good chance of finding the back of the net in the last sort of just under half an hour.
Well, let's see if you are right. Still Devils streaming forward looking for this winner. And that's potentially it. On 70 minutes, Thierry Henry does score to give the home side the lead. Just as Rodeo Bibbin says, Dragons holding out well. An untimely comment, sadly. Here come Devils again, looking for a third to wrap this one up. You'd imagine they get a corner. Ferguson takes it. Cleared. And now Ortega, Veron. Good tackle, but Dyer picks up. Long range effort. It cannons off one. And another corner for Devils. Into the final 10 minutes. And Sigalko, but it's a terrible effort. It's a long way wide. And now here comes Ortega and Sigalko, but he's dispossessed. And now Wellens pushes forward. And there's a yellow card dished out into the final 5 minutes now as Henry comes forward, skipping past a couple of challenges. And it's Kesman, but he's offside. 4 minutes to be added on. And here's Veron and Saeed. A good that's saved down low. And they've got another chance here, Dragons. But it's well saved. And now Wellens coming forward. And he's forced to turn backwards into those 4 minutes of added on time. There is the final whistle. Dragons' winning run over the Devils ends at 1, as it is Devils 2, Dragons 1. Dragons who had suffered just over an hour with 10 men. But the tactical change certainly worked to an extent because they stemmed the tide. Only 2 chances created by Devils in that second half, but they took one. So it's very much a performance like Dragons did in the first half, Martin.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, as we spoke about already, there wasn't really much else that the Dragons could do without opening themselves up to additional abuse, so to speak. I still think they did the right thing. Shrewd move to put Ortega at right back. He's played there before on numerous occasions in the Super League, and we saw him creating chances for Sigalko and for others in the second half that unfortunately either Frey intercepted the crosses or they just weren't able to take them. So they definitely did the right thing. But at the end of the day, Devils probably just went back down to second or third gear and had a couple of chances. Henry scored and that's it. Yeah, they sealed it. Montero doing a very good job alongside Nesta in central defence. You've got those two there. Not sure why they're only getting 7s, but then when the rest of the team is up against a team that's a man down, then it's always going to be difficult for the visitors or for the guys who are a man down.
Well, Henry getting man of the match. I'm just looking while you were saying about the 2 centre backs as to what some of the other players did. Richie Wellens was always going to be an interesting one in this fixture. 53 attempted passes in centre midfield, more than, well, double pretty much anyone else in his side. However, only 38 complete, so not the best completion rate from him. 3 attempted tackles, 1-1, 6 attempted headers. He did win 50% of his headers. Decent performance because he is the one that kind of looks at a place in that midfield, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he gets an 8, and at the end of the day, Barry Ferguson has a lot lower pass completion rate and didn't win any tackles, didn't attempt any headers, but he does have an assist, so I guess that counts for something as well. I mean, I don't mind. People can play the players that they want. Sometimes it's maybe a little bit frustrating when you're playing players that are like crap out of necessity because you don't have anyone else, and then you see players who are maybe not selecting what you would necessarily think is their strongest players, and giving people like Wellens and Scally and so forth the game time in the Super League. But it's each manager to his own. Rob believes in this. We've seen Ferguson play really, really well as a lone midfielder before. And he has Sorchinski on the bench. If you insist on playing Oya, then play Oya and Sorchinski and play Barry Ferguson as a lone midfielder. He will do better. But Rob knows what he's doing to some extent, and he gets 3 points. So, so who am I to judge?
As for Dragons, the thing that jumps out at me here is I was intrigued to see, because for a long time it did look like a solid defensive display to kind of keep Devils at bay. And I noticed Ekiog, 7 attempted tackles, 5 won. And the man who played next to him for best part of an hour, 1 attempted tackle. 1-1, admittedly. But he certainly let in the more experienced Ugo do the lion's share of the work, wasn't he?
Yeah, definitely did. I mean, I haven't seen the full squad recently, so I can't remember. But as I mentioned, the strength of that Dragon squad must mean that they've given up some amount of central defenders. Olovko is very old, probably by now. Risp, I don't know if he's any good. I mean, they still have some half-decent players, but not someone that you would, Risp is looking okay, actually. But yeah, it's maybe not the best options that they have. But unlucky to get Mark Giuliano sent off. He's not a bad player. I mean, the partnership that they have is solid. So just a little bit unfortunate because he was doing well. Three tackles, 3-1
and
up until that point.
Edgar Davids as well, putting in a captain's performance.
Yeah, I mean, I rate him quite highly. In real life, I think he's very entertaining, and in the game as well, he's definitely a solid player. But yeah, good 3 points for the Devils, and a bit of a shame for Dragons.
First win of the season then for Devils. Commiserations to Dragons. Let's carry on then, and the game is dictated. We go to Fulchester versus Astor Athletic, and a couple of changes for Alf Ambrosini injured. Weston Brown still not fit, and I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce it because I know I'll butcher it. But away on international duty, as a few players have been. A couple of managers suffering with international call-ups for this round of fixtures. But this is what Alf comes up with. It's the same tactic as last time out. Steve Finnan comes in on the right-hand side. Foe comes in to the defensive midfield. I think it's just those 2 changes from memory again. Yeah, just those 2 changes from last time out. Ambrosini's a big miss for me, but Foe has, when he called upon, proven he can do a decent job for the majority of the time. I mean, look at this. Even when he doesn't feature, he's getting over a 7 rating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting lineup from Alf. It's unusual. Obviously, he's been in and out, and a lot of young players have maybe come in. So it's not just his regular old guard. I'm happy to see Rossini getting game time. Liverani and Foe is solid. DMC, Hencho and Baschuk at the back there. Overall, it's Overmars is a funny one. I've never really seen him do anything anywhere ever. But I don't know. Maybe it'll be a success. Well, that's because he's never really played. A handful of games for Boston ages ago. Yeah, well, it'll be interesting. Interesting to see what he can do. Interesting, absolutely. Yeah, and Finnan. I mean, a lot of managers really rate Finnan quite highly. Great utility player. I think he even plays well centrally. Surprised at Dudley Hill? That's a strange one, isn't it? Dudley Hill letting him go.
Steve's favourite player, of course.
Odd. Either way.
Macca saying that it's actually a sneaky, decent side, the Astor team. Again, like yourself, they're the team tipped with you to finish in the bottom 2. Alf, though, he's been around the Super League a long time. He does know what he's doing, doesn't he? And as Macca suggested, that the side perhaps has, in certain areas, got stronger. So do you expect Alf to make a good fist of it this year?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think that they are. I mean, if I was going to rank the teams honestly, I wouldn't necessarily expect them to finish below us. It's a decent squad. He's got Rossini in there. If Rossini scores like he can do, then he's guaranteed 15 goals. I'm not sure if Anelka is going to give us 15 goals, and that makes a big difference in the bottom half of the table, I think.
Absolutely. Duff injured for this one. So Van der Vaart comes in on the left-hand side. I think they played. Did they go front? Yeah, they had front 3 last time.
Mm-hmm.
This time they drop it back. So Ronaldo playing behind Shevchenko and Trezeguet. Your thoughts on Fulchester?
Strong side. Really strong back 3 of Yepes and Lucio. he's got his Beckham and his Nedved, Ronaldo in there as well. Shevchenko, Trezeguet, Aaron Spring. I forgot what the joke is, but either way. And Van der Vaart not necessarily a downgrade on that left hand side either from last week. So yeah, I mean, he's good, isn't he, Rafael Van der Vaart?
Yeah.
It's a good player. So yeah, definitely a strong Fulchester side.
I think what plays against Van der Vaart is he's one of those that he looks really good on paper, but he never gets a consistent run to get these ratings up. So he always looks bang average.
And his MLC, which is almost like a forward. No one really wants an MLC because he's not quite a central midfielder, and no one really. I mean, we see it in the Super League now, but there's a long period of time where no one really played with a left-sided midfielder. Yeah? You play with one central midfielder, or you use AMCs in there, and then at your fullback you've got your DMRs and your DMALs or whatever they are. So it's a bit of an awkward position as well. But I think if people are open to use him in different positions, I think they'll be rewarded. He seems like a good player. It's a good, solid player.
Well, we've reached match centre, so prediction for game 3, please, Martin.
Yeah, difficult for me to predict this one. I do think that Fulchester's got a slight edge in terms of the players that they have at their disposal. I think I really rate Nedved as well, even though he is getting on a bit, of course, in the save. But I think they will have a little bit too much for Asta. So probably a 1-0 home win for this one.
1-0 home win. It's the away side, though, that are off at a canter trying to score, and then sort of 10 minutes flies by with nothing happening. But it's still very orange and blue, the text. And loads of time is flying by. There's not a lot happening. You might think that it is blipping for you, Martin. No, there's just genuinely nothing happening in this half. As we reach half-time. Might as well be full-time. We reach half-time already. I mean, somehow the match stats suggest there were 5 attempts on goal. I don't think I saw any. That it's whizzed by with virtually nothing happening. Good luck making this one sound interesting.
Yeah, all that chat and so little end product in the first half. We'll see what the managers come up with in terms of tactical changes or substitutions, if anything, because the game desperately needs it. I think 6s and 7s. There's not really much to say. Lots of passes in central midfield, especially between on the sort of central right hand side there with Beckham and Spring, and yeah, so just a quiet kickabout in the park, really.
Well, as it has been so quiet, I'll explain your earlier comment. I believe he's the regen of Aaron Winters, which is why they call him Aaron.
True. Yeah. I remember now. It was explained to me before because I didn't get it last time either. And I'm 46 years old, so I don't retain information very well.
Oh, mate, I'm 32 years old and I don't retain information very well. As for Asta, a quick look at their stats. The passing numbers aren't as high individually, but collectively it does look like more of the players are seeing more of the ball.
Yeah, I think so. They've obviously been, I mean, there's a sort of war of attrition or whatever, or a game of chess or whatever you want to call it. The two teams are sort of like trying not to give anything away. There's lots of key tackles. Sebastian doing a brilliant job there. Michael Owen, obviously, not having the best. Not sure how many yellow cards Michael Owen has collected in his career. It's mostly after his retirement that he's made a fool of himself rather than on the pitch. But so we might see a change there.
Well, for the home side, we're seeing Figo coming on for Ronaldo. Try and offer a bit more creativity, maybe.
Yeah, it's difficult with Ronaldo, isn't it? He's another one of those players, a bit like Ronaldinho. You don't really see him getting the huge numbers. I'm sure I saw Alf around in the chat earlier, wasn't
it? Yeah, Elmander is coming on for Michael Owen, says Alf.
Oh, is he? All right, okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the much maligned Johan Elmander, another player who has never really been given a go in the Super League. The last save, I think, like the last incarnation of it, I think he got a bit of a go at one point, but not really. Well, evidently never had a go in this save.
I think you played him out of necessity or something like that, didn't you? In a game or two back in the previous Devil days.
Yeah. Good old Johan. But that was in the days before Arnold Brujink was fashionable as well, remember? And now
Indeed,
he's
indeed.
now Churchtown. Dimble looks like a genius, and he's made him look like one of the best players in the league. I was doing it years before, and everyone was telling me how shit he was.
It's like Super League and Champman is like fashion, yeah. Different players, they go in and out of fashion. The odd one will always be there, but then someone figures out how to use Brook ink or whatever, yeah, and then suddenly it's all the rage.
Well, no sooner have we kicked off the second half, it's going much the same as the first, because we're already at 65 minutes and nothing has happened.
Oh, delightful.
So we'll carry on talking about the history of the Super League while Maka decides if he wants to change anything, because there is literally nothing to talk about in this game. I think the two sides are literally cancelling each other out at this stage. They're just passing the ball to each other.
Does look like it to some extent. I can see that Dimble says yellow card for taunting a 13-year-old in the crowd. Indeed, that was one of his. But that's a while back. Now he's more about.
Now it's more about shit commentary.
Shit commentary. And did he not? Was there not him who sent, like, maybe it was last year something, sent like a text message to a girl saying like, show me your breasts or something, like try to like encourage her to send nude pictures in a really sort of like unfashionable way. I'm pretty sure that Michael Owen asked, show us your tits or something like that. Maybe it was made up. I don't know.
Someone can confirm if that is true, please, because I've not heard that, and I thought he was too boring to even attempt anything like that.
I think that was the funny part of it, that it was done in such an uninteresting and uncharming way that, but either way.
Mac is saying Gattuso for Beckham, switch Gattuso and Van der Laan then, please, and blame Alf for how boring this is. Tato's saying this has been wank, sub them all, and Dimble confirming your story but just altering the facts. I believe he's saying that the text was, are they falsies? And Jens also saying it's true. As for Alf, Rodeo, I can't get my words out. Rodeo Bibbins also chipping in. Absolutely true. Dimble's comment is word for word what was said. As for Alf, do you see him changing it up, or will he be quite content with the way things are going at the moment?
I'm not sure if he'll be content, but I'm not sure really what his options are. Messera on for Overmars, who's down to 84, would be the obvious change, but we'll have to see what Alf thinks. But that's what I would do. Not because 84 fitness is a problem, but I mean, he hasn't done anything Overmars, so. But I mean, Messera, is he not forward, left, center? He could probably put him on for Elmander as well.
He is indeed.
Yeah. I mean,
although it'd be hard to bring him on for Elmander, who only came on at half time.
Yeah, but it's Elmander still.
So Alf saying swap Franca and Elmander's positions, and then you're right, he's going Messera for Overmars.
Good.
So you seem quite content with those changes.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, when you see the speed of Messera, then he's got to put him in a place where he can do some running, and he's up against Beckham on that left hand side. So, but then Overmars is no slouch.
And it's David Trezeguet on 70 minutes, and before we've even had a chance to comment on the goal and slow the commentary down because it's in the balance, we've already got to 85 minutes. Arguably, this game is almost as boring as the Man United-Chelsea game, but David Trezeguet has given the home side the lead, and I'm only able to talk about it 15 minutes after it happened. Asta trying to look for an equaliser. Mac is saying, for fuck's sake, he's winning. We're into injury time, and here's Nedved. He's knocked over. Yellow card from Mark Vivian-Foe. Free kick to Fulchester, which Figo's going to take.
Saved.
He's let him run free. Nedved's first to it, but it's well saved on the rebound. And there is the final whistle. Mark Vivian-Foe perhaps lucky not to get a second yellow for mouthing off to the referee. But this game, thankfully, has ended. The stats suggest it was a lot more entertaining than it was.
It wasn't hugely entertaining. I mean, I'm happy that I was spot on with my 1-0 prediction. I had thought that it would be a little bit more entertaining, and that Aston would have had a little bit more, especially after the first game of the season. But it didn't really click for them tonight. And Fulchester did like an old Fulchester thing, and won without being particularly good, but also without allowing the opposition any sort of real chances.
Maka's saying great battle, Alf, and Alf saying well done, Maka. Shevchenko picking up man of the match. Trezeguet with the match-winning goal. Nicky Butt, take your cameras out, ladies and gents. Nicky Butt on a 6. I don't think he's ever got a 6 for Maka in all of his years under his stewardship. Alf saying we still aim for 13th. As for Asta, a look at this, it's just distinctly average, that, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean they just weren't in a position to break down Fulchester tonight, unfortunately for them, and and that's reflected in the performance numbers or the ratings of the players here, a bunch of 6s and 7s, which is always annoying if you're looking at averages that you have your players performing like that. Shame for Rossini. I mean, Franca in there as well. I don't know.
Let's not dwell on this one too much, and let's move on, but not to Loco Gazelles, because that one is last. What else have we got? So Burner playing Haggis, Ian wanted late. Halls are playing Sloths. Jens is here, but he did ask for late, so I'm going to kick Jens's game off as he's here.
Indeed.
So let's have a look then at Halls. Opening day, they lost 2-1 to Fulchester. So they're off to a flying start, aren't they, Fulchester? It was a decent game. Fulchester probably deserving the win based on the match stats. They also, though, it's worth saying, for those who don't remember, and it's going to frustrate people how much I'm clicking around the screen at the moment, they were playing with 9 men for 40 minutes, Halls, which means Jens's squad has been rocked with suspensions. No Vogel, no Campbell today. Song Jong Cook also still away with South Korea, so he's not able to play yet either. And that means that they line up as such. So Zizi Roberts and Crespo continue to partner each other back in behind. Boateng takes the centre midfield position. Malewski partners Gerard in defensive midfield. And Baldini comes in at centre back to partner Rustica. Thoughts on the Hull side, Martin?
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame that he has those 2 suspensions. Sol Campbell, I think, is probably a better option, and Vogel. I mean, Boateng, is he the Olympiacos or something like that? He plays in Greece, doesn't he? I'm not sure if he's any good, but no, not too bad. He's just been hanging around. Kalamata, okay. Yeah,
just not doing much for anybody in this save.
I mean, you put a player with. This will come back to haunt me, I'm sure. But why put a player with 9 in passing in central midfield? I mean, I suppose his other stats are quite good, but I'm not sure what he's going to be doing there exactly. But yeah, the rest are good though. The rest are good. I think that area sort of AMC is a bit of a weakness here. I'm not sure Arik Back is as fantastic as he's sometimes mentioned to be, but who knows? What do I know?
Well, this game has the potential to be explosive. I mean, we've got the 4-1 win last year where Matulin got sent off on 54 minutes. We've had the very entertaining 5-5 a couple of seasons ago. That game was just utter carnage.
Indeed.
It was unbelievable scenes. 3-3 at half time as well, and then the very first meeting between the sides was also 5-2. So there's
with another red card as well. Yeah. I mean, it's entertaining when these sides meet. I think it will be the same tonight with that. I'm just thinking, who is Young Kook Song? Where did he come from?
Suwon, or he starts at Busan.
Must have gotten mixed up or something. I thought he was at Dragons. Did they not buy? Was that another Suk Cook person that Dragons had when? Either way, I can't remember. I just thought that they had a similar name. The Dragons had a similar name, but it might have been in the previous version of the Super League.
Quite possibly. Now, we mentioned how entertaining this game has been historically. It's worth noting, though, that Sloths are under new management and not the gung-ho approach that perhaps they had in all of those fixtures. They did, however, beat 10-man Northern Burn in the opening game of the season to really emphasise the point as just how good Hodgie can be at times in this game, no matter what club he's in charge of. Also worth noting that Mr. Edwards has been at Old Trafford tonight, so he's not able to watch this fixture live. I'm sure having been at Old Trafford, he would rather be watching this live.
Why is he putting himself through that? But either way.
This is Tolly, unavailable to play against his parent club, is the only absentee. So this is the side for Sloth.
He shouldn't fucking be playing anyway, Shane Tolly, whether it's against his parent club or not. But either way, no, fair play to Haji. Yeah.
Recoba and Larson playing behind Captain Pizarro. I think I mentioned on Sunday, I'm excited to see what Pizarro does, because if you actually look at the squad, there's not a great deal of sort of striking options within the first team, which suggests that Pizarro is going to be given a proper run. And if you look at the year he had, a good amount of games, he scored a good amount of goals. Last year, he had a reasonable amount of games, scored a reasonable amount of goals. So I'm excited to see if Hodgie's going to make him his main man. Is this going to be the year of Pizarro?
Yeah, I mean, it could be for Sloths. I think he's solid. I mean, this was before my time, or maybe in my very first season, where I think for Shamrock or someone that he scored a bunch of goals. So he definitely can perform in the Super League. And as you mentioned, he doesn't have any other strikers. Yes, some forwards or FCs that might be able to play up there as well. But I'll be happy to see him go with Pizarro the full season. I'm sure he'll get 12, 13, 15 even.
And your thoughts on that defensive midfield quartet? Because I know defending hasn't always been Sloth's strong point, but it is something Hodgie is quite good at. And I know generally the squad has been upgraded from what he took over. That's easy to say. But I think he's relatively content. It's certainly not the best four in the division, but it's certainly an upgrade, I think, on what he had total.
Yeah, definitely. Solari and Parfenov are really good players. Patasoglu, he's obviously had before, and very, very good. Pereira, I'm not super familiar with, but he's probably doing okay. And then he's got, he's all right. And then he's got Belgarin and Christian Kibu at the back, and I don't think you get much higher quality and versatility than Kibu. I think he plays very well on the left-hand side. He plays well in the middle as well. And Valgarin did a brilliant job at Fulchester, didn't he? So yeah, he's got a very strong squad there, and be interesting to see if he can keep some scoring. And then I think he's in with a very good chance of getting the 3 points today.
Good evening, Ian, who I've seen pop up in the chat. I hope you're well. We haven't played your game as you asked for a late one. Let's kick this one off then. It's score prediction, please.
Yeah, I think it's probably going to be 1-1.
1-1 is the prediction. Well, there is one. It's ZZ Roberts' first ever goal for Hull's Vikings on 4 minutes. Rustico going in the book early by referee Matthew Breeze. And it is 1-1. It's Solari scoring for Sloths. So that's it. According to Martin, it's game over on 25 minutes.
Done. Can all go home.
These players certainly are not. And there's Pizarro making it 2-1, the man I mentioned. Crespo with an opportunity. It is 2-2. ZZ Roberts. We could be in for another goal fest here. These two sides love playing each other. And it's 3-2. ZZ Roberts has got a first half hat-trick. And if only you could all see Martin's reaction to that third goal. I'm just sure Tato Mourinho is sat back now, rubbing his hands together, saying, I told you all this boy was capable. ZZ Roberts with a first half hat-trick to make it 3-2 at half-time. And two attempts on both scores.
Have we had a first half hat trick since Christian Poulsen's hat trick for Sloths back in the day?
I don't remember a first half hat trick since then, if I'm honest. Good shout, swapping him for Liverani, says Thoughts on that first half? I mean, Sloths 2 attempts, 2 goals, so prolific, but Hull's running rampant.
Yeah, I mean, they'll be a little bit disappointed. Jens will be a little bit disappointed that they aren't, well clear here with having conceded those 2 goals. I really rate CC Roberts as well. I will make an exception for one of these kind of players in the Super League. I rate him for personal reasons
You can't berate
because
all of these players and then say that ZZ Roberts is the exception to the rule.
no, he is the exception to the rule because there was a save or a challenge or something. You had to sign a player who was 18 at the start of the game and then see how many goals he could do. And if you pick the Danish league, for example, it starts on the 1st of July instead of the 19th. So technically, even though I was playing in Belgium, I started earlier, so CC Roberts was young when I signed him, and he scored like 2 goals a game, headers all the time, headers. So I don't know if it's headers he's scoring here. No, it isn't. But either way, I do have a bit of a soft spot for him, and Jens has got to be delighted with that first half performance.
Tato is taking full credit, saying "You're welcome, league. You're fucking welcome." I can't imagine Jens will be changing too much. Although, as you say, might be a bit frustrated defensively. He is making the change in midfield. Boateng coming out, and the other Gerard coming in is the change. As for Sloths, have I seen Hodgie yet? I'm not sure if I have.
Oh, he is. He was here. He might still be.
I thought I saw his name earlier, but he'll certainly be watching around. He normally does, and I normally say virtually the same thing. He'll be happy that Pizarro on the score sheet, Patsazoglu putting in a decent performance, but Nigmatulin, as he so often does against Halls, having an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, at least he's not been sent off yet, as he has been in the past. He'll be disappointed Belgarin has not done better in the air or on the ground to stop CC Roberts from taking those chances. I think that'll be his main sort of concern. Other than that, a first half of 6s and 7s away to a strong Hull side is perhaps not the worst. He would have hoped to be in a little bit of better position and be able to turn around in the second half.
No, absolutely. I'm just seeing the comment in the chat saying ZZ better than Zizou by Rodeo.
Oh,
Vivid.
definitely.
For anyone who has ever watched the Super League, that is not even a question because Zidane is absolutely fucking awful.
That's it. That was the last hat trick. That was Zidane, wasn't it? That was the last. Was that a first half hat trick that he had? Remember that game? Was it? I can't remember how many seasons ago it was, but Zidane definitely had for Bostock. And I think he'd played a complete trash both before and after, but he had one game when he scored a hat trick, I'm sure.
I'll let Scott confirm that one because when it comes to Zidane, I can't remember him doing anything memorable ever on the game. A change for Hodgie Amoroso coming on for Recoba at halftime. Makes sense to you, that, do you think?
Yeah, it does. Solari played well, got the goal. He's got Risa on the bench. I mean, Desailly for Belgarin would be an option to try and stem the tide a little bit, but there's also that thing, has he like used up all his energy, CC Roberts, in the first half? Is he a threat? You know, some people would argue you have to sub your striker when he scored 3 because he's unlikely to score 4th. But
let's find out if he is a threat as we kick off the second half. And Sloths coming forward looking for their third of the night. And it's all ZZ Roberts again. No, doesn't convert this time. There's Pizarro getting involved. And Crespo. All the big name players that both managers want to see. And it's 3-3 and it's a substitute on his debut. Amoroso makes it 3-3. And we're waiting for the ball to go out of play. And here we go. At 68 minutes, Scott confirming Zidane scored 4 in a 6-2 win against Sloths, he believes.
I think it was something like that. Yeah, indeed.
68 minutes on the clock, Martin. 3-3. What a game this has turned out to be. And it is not over yet. The managers can still have a significant say. The thing is, you're looking at it, both teams clearly capable of scoring. So you might look at it, Tristan is the man to come on, but is he? Because what's he going to add that's not already on the pitch? Maybe this has got Sean Davis written all over it to save it for Wolves.
Sean Davis to save the day. I will still go with my original argument that I think that CC Roberts he's blown his load. He's done. Yeah, get him off and put Tristan on.
He's done everything he needs to do.
I think so. Yeah, I think he's ready for bed. I would put Tristan on and hope for the best.
Jens is going as is. So let's have a look over at Sloths and see what we think they might be able to do. Does that say 13 for Valgarin?
I hope he's going to put this AE on. You can see if you click and see if he's got like a potential injury or something like that, maybe.
Potential knee injury.
Yeah, I'll probably put this AE on there. I mean, we'll wait for Hodgie to confirm, but That would. I know that was it Tato who said earlier that fitness is a myth. I'm not sure. Tato, would you continue with the 13%? How much of a myth?
Now I'm trying to think without clicking back over. Is Zizi playing left or right forward? Is he just been hacking lumps out of Valgaeren throughout the whole game?
I think he's actually on the other side, but I forget.
Potential amputation. Potential amputation.
It's not looking good for yours, is it? Well, we'll see what Hodgie says.
It is the change that you've suggested there. Valgaeren is coming off, Desai coming on. Dimble saying potential seems to be understating it. And Tato saying I'd probably sub him, to be fair.
Well, yeah, there's a limit to everything. Indeed.
Well, it looks like that's it. But let's slow this one down. What a game this has turned out to be. 68 on the clock. Change for Sloths as they bring off the looking like he's very much injured Valgaeren. Kivu gets a yellow card. And now Gerard flicks the ball on. 75 now on the clock. And here comes Sloths again, but Halls take the ball back, and then Sloths win it back. Kupsara moves too easy. And then a long ball, route one from Halls, but back fails to convert. Into the final 10 minutes now. This pulsating game just seems to have calmed down a little bit since the sort of 75th minute or so. But that doesn't mean to say we haven't got one last gasp moment of glory in it. And back goes down, body check, free kick given. Candela lines it up, 2 minutes to be added on. And it's Crespo. Still Crespo. And still Crespo. Do something with it, Crespo. In the end, he loses the ball completely. But here come Halls again. And Crespo picking it up again. And Gerard tries to call one in. Into injury time now. Are we going to get limbs and scenes all over the place? Maybe from the away side, Pizarro puts it wide. And there is the full-time whistle. Scott has not really been focusing on this exciting game because he's piped up with Season 8, Game 2. Zidane scores 4 and assisted 1. Finished the season with 7 goals and 1 assist.
And a 6.4 average, probably. Well, anyway.
But full-time in this brilliant game, Martin, and it has finished 3-3.
Gosh, yeah, very entertaining. Yeah, I'm not sure what Jens is going to make of it.
Well, he's made of it. Shite is his one-word reaction to that game.
Did Crespo play himself into an offside position? It did look like that. It did look like that. I thought so as well. I think Hulst did a solid job. They're up against the Sloths team. Maybe in the past they would have perhaps expected to win this one, but they are managed by Hodgie now. And with all due respect to Rob, that is probably slightly better for Sloths under new stewardship. And I'm not entirely surprised at the result. I think I said 1-1, didn't I? So not entirely surprised it's a draw, but perhaps surprised with the amount of goals. But relatively poor performance by at least the Hulls goalkeeper. Nick Matulin, I think, had a fantastic save and played himself up in the second half.
Apparently I'm taking the blame for this one because what am I seeing here? Tater saying all those subs on 60 minutes ruined it. Nice one, 5 Dimble saying cracking game, and then Fuddle Fox said superb game before the subs.
Yeah, well, I mean, he should have put. I still think Tristan would have sealed the deal for him, but we'll never know.
Let's have a look then. ZZ Roberts, unsurprisingly, getting man of the match for his hat trick. But look at the performance there by Milevski as well. Whereas Crespo was just watching all the excitement happen. He had one random run in the second half where he just wouldn't give the ball to anyone else because I think he just got bored of his strike partner taking all the glory.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, it's one of the risks that you run when you play with two strikers, whether the one is going to, take all the glory, and then you can sit back and say, no, I wish I played two MMCs or whatever. But I mean, sometimes they get a goal each, So I don't think he'll be overly concerned about that. Crespo's still a quality player, and he played well in the first game.
Hodgie saying slowing it down makes it seem less end-to-end. Scott saying the other 3 goals came in games 23 and 24. He's still bringing out the Zidane stats. And How did Crespo stay on there, Jens? For fuck's sake, says Tato. Let's have a look at Sloths then and have a look at their performance. You're right, Nick Matuli managed to play his way up to a 6 rating. Solari playing well, getting an 8 rating with his goal. No one higher than an 8. Patsazoglu, we mentioned him in the sort of in the preview at the start as well. Pizarro also rating an 8, as did substitute Amoroso, who rescued the point.
Yeah, good solid performance. Rob makes 2 substitutions. We had Vagal and he was on a 6. Okay, he was injured. Desai comes in. Recoba was on a 6. He puts Amoroso on. He comes in. He gets an 8 and scores the important goal for them. So I think solid performance by Sloths under a lot of pressure in terms of all the chances that Hull's had, and they've come away with a point which I think they'll be very happy about.
Absolutely. Well, thank you to both sides for that entertaining fixture. This one seems to have got a little bit lost in the pack when I was looking for games that we were going to select, but certainly an interesting game on paper. Churchtown at home to Bostock Stanley. As we saw, reminded ourselves earlier, Bostock getting the 0-0 draw on the opening day at home to Devils. They line up as such a tactical tweak. Last time out, they played the 3 up top with no centre midfielder. They revert back to type pretty much. Torres and Raul up front together as a partnership.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I think Fernando Torres, we're a couple of seasons in now, so he should definitely have developed. I think he had a couple of good games under Hodgie, didn't he? Back in the day, he was like a
very
super
first
sub.
Season.
Yeah, the super sub there when I think he had Torres, Morientes, and perhaps another Spaniard. I can't fully remember, but either way, he should be able to get a couple of goals. Raul, I've seen do well. I think there were some people arguing where he should play. Was that the argument last week where Raul should play? I think as Ryan said, when Raul plays, the rest of his team plays better. So it doesn't really matter what Raul does. He's just in there, and probably the same for Bostock. Apart from that, a strong side. I know that Scott has put a lot of time and effort into this. He has good players. Lyth and Welsh play well. Say Roberto, he's got now. Cafu is still going strong, obviously. He brought in Christian Vieri, but that's not that's not really worked out. He goes straight to the bench. So,
well, I mean, you say it hasn't worked out just because he didn't score. He did get an 8 rating on his debut. Let's have a look at Churchtown then. Dimble going from the season 11 narrow tactic to the season 11 wide tactic. Mendes de Silva with the backwards diagonal arrow. Zambrotta and Doni with the very, very big arrows from the wing. A little bit surprising there's no arrows on either Agahawa or Bruging potentially. And the injury to, we talked about absentees earlier, Hussein and Volodenkov, two massive injuries for Churchtown.
That's a shame that he's missing them, definitely. I mean, Brooking does like an arrow up to that SC role. I think. I mean, Alf always had that arrow on him, and I think he's had it on him before. But either way, I'm sure they'll do quite okay. So Bros and Donny coming forward. It looks as if he thought Scott was going to go 3 at the front again, which is perhaps why he's got that arrow back on Mendes de Silva. I don't know, but
he has deployed the arrow a few times when Mendes de Silva's played.
Yeah, I mean, he is a DC DMC, isn't he? So it does kind of make sense. And Tomasi can, with zonal marking, cover that area by himself. Is it a bit of a chance to leave one DMC? Well, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, they are at home, so they should perhaps... They are perhaps expected to maybe not dominate, but at least to some extent dictate proceedings. I would suggest Stilian Petrov at MC, probably a decent enough player as well. Donny on the wing, yeah. I mean, overall, it's a good side. He's got Kaka and Roque Santa Cruz on the bench. Interesting options as well.
Dimble pointing out in the chat that his 2 injuries is not like he's lost them in action. They've both got injured on the training ground.
That's the most frustrating thing. I was trying to do a 100-goal save, and I'd done a ton of stuff in Tigalco, and then 2 games in Tigalco gets out for a month. Yeah, so on the training ground as well, not even scoring goals. So those training ground injuries definitely not something you like to see.
About an hour after his game finishes, Hodgie congratulates Jens on a great game. Match prediction for this one, please, Mike.
Ooh, I think that I'm gonna maybe say 2-1 to the away side. I like Bostock Stanley's away kit. I'm not sure I've seen that too often. Is that the third kit? Well, either way.
No, I think it is their away. It's just they don't often have to play because not a lot of teams play in white.
Mm-hmm.
But we have kicked off 20 minutes in already. Not much in the way of action, but we have got an injury, and it could be a key injury to John Welsh, one of the dynamic duo Welsh and Live, who gets such rave ratings for the last probably season and a half, really. But now one of the dynamic duo are off injured. I mean, there's no real need to wait because we know it'll be Guigu, unless, of course, he wants to drop Xavi back and bring Kutsov on. But I don't really think that's in Scott's nature at this stage of the game. Do you mind?
No, not away from home. Not at this stage. Not away from home at this stage. I wouldn't say. And Xavi's probably better in MC, and then compared to DMC, I think Rigu is a better option at DMC for sure.
Scott's saying Gugu is coming on. So let's resume the game. 25 minutes on the clock. As I say, not much in the way of action thus far. Petrov getting a yellow card. Churchtown take the lead through Julius Agahawa on 36 minutes to a snigger from my co-commentator. Bostock still coming forward. Will they get their goal? Not before half time, they won't. Jerry Connolly brings it to a close. 1-0 to Churchtown. Apparently, there had been 6 attempts created in that half, Martin. But crucially, the one we did see was Churchtown taking the lead through Agahawa.
Yeah, reminiscent of the Fulchester Astor game from earlier, isn't it? With not a lot of action. The goal seemed to have come a little bit out of nothing as well for Agahawa there. I mean, Dibble's not going to be complaining this. He is 1-0 up in a game that he's definitely not dominated, but maybe had to some extent under control. So slightly uneventful first half, but obviously we've got the options now with the substitutions. Oh, Mendes da Silva enjoying his backwards arrow.
Very much enjoying his backwards arrow. And Oscar Mascoro on his debut, putting in a solid first 45 minutes for his new team, I should say, as well. Moving Vialli over to the other side. John Terry not in the squad for this one.
Yeah, I was going to say, is he a Mexican? That's one of those countries that has become fashionable to raid again in some of the online or the home saves that people are doing at the moment. I think Ukraine was a favorite at some point, but there's a lot of bargains to be had in Mexico apparently. So yeah, Mascoro, one of them.
Indeed. Those ratings are distinctly averaged by Bostock's usually high standards. Scott hasn't even waited to see the stats to make his changes. So it's Xavi off for Vieri, 3 up top. So going back to what he started with against Devils. Brave move, do you think, or understandable given the situation at halftime losing?
I think it's necessary. I think it's necessary when he sees Mendes da Silva with that backwards arrow. There's the 3 there, and then it's too hard to get through with the front line that he's got. So yeah, I think it makes absolute sense to make that change.
Change made, and we kick off the second half. Yellow card handed out there. And on 62 minutes, there was sort of one little bit of action, but other than that, Agahawa's moved his rating up to a 9 for Churchtown. They're still maintaining their advantage. Do you see Dimble changing much here?
No, I mean, I think he said play on for half time. I don't think that was for the comment. So we'll wait and see, but I can't see him making any changes. I don't think none of the players have done particularly badly, and none of the players he's got on the bench particularly improves his lineup. So I think it's going to be play on again from Dimble.
Yeah, he does. He is one of these that does like to keep his side intact where possible. He does have faith, but he did say in the preview show he now had a squad of about 20 players that he trusted. So it's not like it's not like he wouldn't trust any of his subs. Maybe Kaká for Petrov just to offer a bit more attacking mentality.
Yeah, I mean, perhaps. I mean, that's nice to hear that he says that he has the 20 players that he trusts, because I think he had about 2 when he took over the team. So I'm pleased to see he's built that relationship with some of them and brought in some new ones as well.
No changes for Dimble then at the second half tactical break. Scott, I imagine, will also keep it as it is. There's no one sort of suffering fatigue or anything there, so I'm sure he'll let the tactical change settle in a bit longer and hope it comes off for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the option of bringing Kutusov on, obviously, but that would be his last sub, so maybe he'll just keep it the way that it is. But we'll see what he says.
We'll just give him 30 seconds or so to confirm before we resume the second half. I think you're right, though. I can't envisage him making any further changes, and there is the confirmation saying roll with it. So let's do that. Still 1-0 to Churchtown. And we
Oliver Kahn still active. That's impressive.
And it's 2-0. And Petrov, who's the man I suggested might be coming off, has actually doubled the advantage for the home side. 2-0 to Churchtown, and that's Roberto sending in a free kick. And it's 2-1. Torres scores. A devastating cross from Zé Roberto, and Torres has his first goal for Bostock Stanley. They are not out of this year yet. Their never say die attitude. Torres goes in the book into the final 10 minutes now. Churchtown come forward again. And another attempt. And now here come Bostock. And it's Cafu. And Cafu crosses, but headed away by Bruging. And the corner kick, and Torres misses the opportunity. Here they come again looking for this equaliser. Still Zé Roberto waltzing past the opposition as we head towards injury time now. And another opportunity potentially here, but a foul, yellow card, and a free kick to Bostock. Zé Roberto delivers it, but Mendes de Silva gets in the way. One last chance, maybe. Jacques picks it up. And the referee reaches in the pocket. Mendes de Silva's booked. Free kick, live with it. Zé Roberto. And the scorer gets in the way. Agahawa, Salas, and Churchtown have a corner. That should be enough for the home side. It is enough for the home side. It finishes Churchtown 2, Bostock Stanley 1. Credit to Bostock. From the minute they were 2-0 down, it was all them. They were desperately trying to get the equaliser, but Churchtown were not letting them through.
No, they definitely weren't. Solid defensive display by Churchtown there. 4 shots, 4 on target. Bostock with 8, indicating that they're probably shooting a little bit more from distance. I was going to say deserved victory. It's possibly deserved victory, but the Dimble will not be making any complaints about that outcome. Quite a lot of yellow cards, though.
There was a lot of yellow cards. 5, in fact, for Churchtown. Agahawa picking man of the match. Although Mendes de Silva with a very, very good performance as well, it has to be said. Bruging, on the other hand, he had one of his quieter games for Churchtown, but he was the only sort of faded light in what is a sea of 8s and a smattering of 9s. There's a couple of 7s in there as well, but largely 8s. Dimble will be delighted with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Good start to the season for Churchtown. Sambrata on a 7, a little bit surprising. He's usually one of the higher performing players, but he hasn't been as much recently. But either way, he can be very happy with that. Scott, on the other hand, a bit disappointed.
Guigu come on obviously for the injury and certainly put himself in the offering for a starting place if Welsh's injury is a bit sort of longer term. There were a few 8s in there as well. Cafu and Zé Roberto, as always, leading by example. Lassisi as well, putting in a decent performance live, a textbook performance from him. But yeah, it's not an awful performance. It's just Churchtown perhaps had that little bit extra, particularly defensively, to keep them at bay.
Yeah, it's frustrating when you have a game like that. You have the chances. You concede 2 goals, which is maybe not entirely unexpected, but you do have the chances to go back in, and it just doesn't work out for you. On top of that, you pick up an injury to a key player like Welsh. It can be a frustrating game, the Super League, sometimes, can't it?
Oh, it can indeed. But congratulations then to Churchtown. I believe that brings us to our penultimate game of the evening, and it's Northern Burn at home to Haggis Hunters. Haggis keeping this formation that they trialled during the pre-season friendlies. It's a bit sort of Fulchester-esque as well, you could say. in terms of how they line up. That defensive triangle of Jeremy, Samuel, Stam, and Casillas keeping their place. Giggs and Duff, pretty much the ever presence on the wing as well. Pau seems to have made himself instrumental next to Mendieta towards the back end of last season and start of this. Del Piero starts in place of Bruno, who is the latest player to be away on international duty. And new signing Casas continues up front with Viduka, who both scored on their debuts in Sunday's 2-0 win over Churchtown. Thoughts on the Haggis squad, Martin?
Yeah, I think he's done well to get the players. To get the players in that he has. I think Mendieta, Jeremy's have been there for a while. Some of them are long-term Haggis players, and some of them are relative newcomers. Constant struggles to find people who can score goals, and now he's landed with Viduka and Casas. Obviously, initial sighting was good. Will they continue along those lines and continue to contribute with goals? Time will tell, but he has got the people who can deliver the crosses, which I think is something that is hugely important as well, as we've seen throughout the seasons in the Super League, that those wing backs, if you can get the crosses in, it's a great addition to just having those kind of like Veron, Riquelme, Ferguson, the passes down the middle. If you can get wingers that can actually cross the ball in as well, like Giggs and Duff, and you've got two strikers who can compete in the air, then I think you've got a good chance of picking up a number of goals.
No, absolutely agree with that. History dictates that Northern Burn was it. I think it was Duggan posted the Dragons head to head with Devils the other day and said, "Has anyone got a worse record against the team?" And Ian kind of said, "Hold my beer." While posting his track record, having never beaten Northern Burn. So maybe this will be his opportunity to make a little bit of history. Let's have a look at the Burn side then. As we saw earlier, last time out, they had 10 men. They lost 2-0 to Sloths. But the big news is Cliver is back and plays in a front two with Brozek, Robin in behind, Totti and Keane in midfield. And interestingly, I mean, they've got a squad full of captains, obviously, when you look at Vieira, Keane, etc. But Totti, widely given the armband last season, Cannavaro has been given it this year, even though Totti is on the pitch. Now, no disputing, Cannavaro is an excellent captain, but as Ian is someone who doesn't like change too much, I wonder how much it pained him to take the armband off of Totti. They have changed it around in the window, but it still looks, considering what they've let go, very strong, doesn't it, Mike?
Yeah, I mean that's the method that Ian is applying to this, isn't it? That he is going to do whatever he can to get the strongest 11 possible. If that means that he has to like put Freddie Lundberg and other people on the bench, I think if the Super League does continue for additional seasons, it'll go even more in that direction, that he's just going to focus on getting 11 players as absolutely strong as possible, and then just kind of hit and hope in terms of the reserves. But I mean, he has won the league, so, he's doing something right.
Absolutely, cannot argue with that at all. So for the last time tonight then, Martin, let me ask you for a prediction, please.
Oh, I think that the Haggis Hunters are going to score. Will it be enough? Maybe a 2-1 for Northern Burn. I think Brosek is now so far along in his development that he's going to be a real threat as well.
Okay, 2-1 for Northern Burn is the prediction. Haggis started the quickest and certainly looked the more likely to score at this point. Burn suffering their end of season woes, carrying on with their inability to finish in the first game. Time's flying by. Viduka scores on 28 minutes to give the away side the lead, and more trouble for Ian at Northern Burn. Can they get the goal to level things up before half time? 39 minutes on the clock. Haggis come forward again. Now Burn on the counter with a set piece. Casillas making a good save. Vieira, I think that was going in the book. Burn desperately looking for an equaliser before half time. We hit 45 minutes. Del Piero has a shot, and there is the half-time whistle, and it is Northern Burn 0, Haggis Hunters 1, Martin. And I mean, it looked end to end, and the chances suggest it was, and both teams creating, Haggis taking it.
Yeah, it was a good first half, very entertaining with chances for both sides. Viduka on the score sheet again. I think he's been accused of a number of things in the past, but being a prolific goal scorer has not been one of them in the Super League. But it seems to be working okay for him. He's found a good new home here at Haggis, and someone is delivering crosses to him, presumably that he's then converting.
He certainly looked rejuvenated at Hull's last year, and that's carried on at Haggis. Roy Keane with a 5, only 9 attempted passes in that half. 2 completed, 4 attempted tackles, only 1 won. Roy Keane has lost it.
Yeah, he has a bit, hasn't he? In general, he loses it quite frequently. I found this is based on a sample of 1, but I found that Roy Keane very quickly dropped off in my only home save I've ever done with Manchester United. Quite quickly, I found myself not really using him because he either constantly got like yellow or red cards, or his stamina dropped, or he had a poor performance or something like that. The first season or two, very good, but after that, not really.
As for Haggis, Casillas it is with the 9 out of 10 rating for his string of fine saves. Viduka leading the line well, but not really getting the support from Del Piero or Casillas that he needs to for the team to really be that effective. Jeremy's continues to pull out excellent performances, and that's the difference, I think, when you look at Roy Keane's performance compared to Jeremy's performance. Really, the one-eye Ian, if you like, needs a bit more from his star midfielders.
Yeah, definitely, and they were a pair, weren't they? I mean, I think they were both at Valen back in the day. Jeremies and Keane, weren't they? And I'm sure they played together in the Super League after that as well. Jeremies definitely doing the slightly better. There were no assists for Viduka, so I don't know where how that came about. And Del Piero is on a 5. Presumably, Del Piero is going to go out. Yeah, I think he's got swapping casters and getting Sambra on there. Yeah, that makes sense. Del Piero on a 5 and a yellow card. He can be hit and miss, Del Piero, can't he? But he did a good job. He was at Bern. He was scoring goals at Northern Bern at some point, I'm sure. Oh my goodness!
I think it was Dudley as well. Ryan Giggs makes it 2-0 just after kickoff, and Haggis coming forward looking for a third here. Ian did tell me, because he knew he was missing it, that only make any enforced changes, so that's all we're doing. And suddenly that 10 minutes flew by, but we will allow Ian to make any changes. But again, Northern Bern find themselves 2-0 down, Martin, and it's not been a good start to the season at all for the former champions.
No, not at all. The question is now if Ian wants to Ian with the extra eye wants to put the sword in and maybe put the Joe Cole on for Patrick Palve and get a bit of extra attacking firepower in there, or maybe he wants to shut up shop and put El Guerra on somewhere. I'm just thinking to avoid a potential red card, maybe, or maybe he just goes as is.
Well, he's saying roll with it, please. But I do agree with your thinking. Maybe at this point you'd be looking at the yellow cards, thinking, do I need to protect anyone? But he is keeping it as is. So we continue with this game. No point slowing this down just at the moment. And then 15 minutes flies by with nothing happening. Haggis still come forward looking for a third, though. They look more likely to score. Stam, I think that was going in the book this time. And we are into injury time. And Haggis do make it 3-0. Samba scored. Oh, it's been disallowed. And the referee calls time. Northern Bern have had enough. And it's finished Northern Bern 0, Haggis Hunters 2. So more, as we say, more trouble for the one-eye Ian, but what a great performance that was by the away side.
Yeah, I mean it was a good game, to be honest. I quite enjoyed that, especially the first half. Second half also good. I mean, obviously Haggis Hunters still having the better of it, and I mean it's the real deal, he says.
Indeed. And I think that when we see the Haggis stats by comparison, what they've done is absolutely bullied them in midfield, haven't they?
Yeah, it definitely looks like it. Roy Keane and Patrick Vieira doing a poor job there. Brosik as well. I mean, I know he wasn't in midfield, but he's definitely not been involved in any positive way either. Robin out on the side there. Jogata's coming up on the left wing. Yeah, no, they weren't good enough in the center of the park.
Jeremy's getting man of the match against his former side. There was, again, look at that, a number of yellow cards dished out for the team. But Casillas remained strong when he had to be Yapstam, proving age is just a number as well. Viduka carried on his good start to the season. Casas' performance improved, and young Samba having his goal disallowed as well, but showing that he will be able to put the ball in the net when called upon. Superb performance all round, really.
Yeah, although looking at these numbers, it seemed a little bit more that rather than being dominated, I think
I'm looking at
the
Mendieta.
midfield sort of like out incompetenced each other really, with Mendieta and Pauve putting in sixes as well. So not sure what exactly went wrong there. Maybe a lot of the play just went down the wings, and then Jeremy's was there to kind of tidy up the loose ends.
Yeah, Tato's put in the chat actually that wingers are smashing it this year, and that does certainly seem to be the case. But congratulations to Haggis, commiserations Northern Burn. Tato's saying that Haggis top of the league. Might that also suggest that Northern Burn now would be bottom? Potentially -4 goal difference, 2 defeats from 2. It'd be certain they'll certainly be down there, but we are only 2 games in, so let's not get carried away just yet. And that brings us neatly to the final game of the evening. Just to do some admin, if I may, Martin, before you talk us through your team selection. Tonight, well, I say tonight, tomorrow starts a potentially very exciting weekend for my family. Aidan, Baby Devil, as a lot of you know him, he is going for his black belt assessment gradings in mixed martial arts this weekend. It's a 3-day event starting tomorrow, where he does the mental side. Then Saturday he's got an 8 or 9 hour assessment on the practical, before a 3-hour fitness test in 7 o'clock Sunday morning, and then the presentation evening Sunday night. Now that starts at 6. I'm not sure how long it's going to go on for, so I am going to delay Sunday's fixtures to Bank Holiday Monday, just to give you all the required amount of time to make a successful and not a rushed show, but also to allow Aidan time to embrace what I'm hoping will be him earning his black belt at the ripe old age of 13. So a thank you, Ian. I can see he's already gone in with a good luck message. I appreciate that. So yes, Sunday's fixtures will be delayed to Bank Holiday Monday, just to allow everyone in my life to have adequate amounts of my time. I hope you all understand that and appreciate that. But back to the football, Martin, and away to Loco. As we can see here, Garcia, as he's named on the game, away on international duty. Anelka out injured, Mourinho injured as well. So you've had a couple of selection headaches. This is what you've gone with. Talk us through your team.
Yeah, it kind of picked itself a little bit with Tomadera coming in as a replacement for Anelka, with Falcao being away for the international, and I think we prefer to save Diego Forlan for another day and see what happens there. The real struggle that we had in the first game was getting the midfield to work. Seedorf was doing fine, Smertens, Elias was doing okay as well, but the AMC wasn't really working, and out on the left hand side, Fiore was not really doing particularly well. Went better in the second half. We got Hersi in there, Pinardi. The rest, as you can see, Mourinho is still injured. We could consider him over Andrade perhaps at the back. Yakubu is definitely going to get another chance here. Whether we put Pamo Luka on later, we'll have to wait and see how it goes in terms of his performance. But yeah, that's the thoughts. We are still not settled on an AMC. We're going to try Pinardi. He's got the speed, so maybe that's going to work out well for us. But who knows? Lokomotiv Boston. Not an easy side to be up against, despite not being the side that won the title a couple of seasons back. They're still pretty solid.
No, absolutely. Historically, Gazelles haven't had a great record, although this fixture does tend to end in a draw, it's fair to say.
Yeah, I mean that's overwhelmingly boring outcome with 1-1 and 0-0. But given the nature of the previous seasons at Gazelles, or the last season at Gazelles, I'll be quite happy with with a board draw. Either 1-1 or 0-0 will probably suit us fine. We'll be happy with the point, but obviously looking for Tomadera to work his magic and secure 3 points for us.
Let's have a look at your opposition then. Loco started the season with the 3-1 defeat away at Astor. Clayton Zane has already been dropped from the team altogether, and it says a lot for how bad he must have been if Olasedabi is starting ahead of him, widely regarded by me as the worst signing in Super League history when he went to Dudley Hill. They've made a couple of other alterations. It's the same tactic. Van Bommel comes in to centre midfield. Tudor comes into the defensive line. Del Vecchio comes in to the attacking midfield. Thoughts on this version of Loco Boston, Martin?
Yeah, I mean, I think they were better in the past. I don't think they're bad, but I think there's been better locomotive Boston sides. Roberto Carlos is getting on a bit. Igor Tudor, I'm not sure I rate him so highly. Samuel hated playing for us, so I was happy to see him go. I don't know if he'll do better at Locomotive Boston, but he definitely did not enjoy his time at Gazelles. It's still a good side. A lot of the players are stronger than the players that we have at our disposal, so I won't be too critical of them. Angelo Peruzzi, maybe. I mean, I still have no idea what possessed him to let go of Fabian Barthez, but I'm happy that he did.
Well, let's go to Match Centre then. As always, I won't ask you to predict your own game. I will just say good luck, and good luck to Greavesy as well. Who and get well soon, Greavesy, because I know you're suffering a bit with a couple of, let's just call them, health issues at the moment. So nothing serious before anyone panics, but let's all wish Greavesy well, because I know how much of a fan of him you all are. As we kick off the main event of the evening, Locomotive Boston at home to Gazelles, and it's the away side who score straight away. Yakubu with his first goal for the club on 12 minutes, sparking scenes from the co-commentary position, and they come forward again, and it's Yakubu again. Oh, he's missed. What an opportunity that was as we reach half an hour. Loco now playing their way into it, and it's Olasedabi makes it 1-1 on his debut on 39 minutes, and the rest given a penalty, and Andrade's been sent off, and suddenly what was a happy looking Martin in the co-commentary position, the glasses are off, the eyes are being rubbed, it's a red card, and from being a goal up, they're now potentially going to be a goal down and a man down. Martin, how are you reacting to this?
Yeah, that's not gone well, has it? We are going to do. Pinardi is going to have to come off for this the Pamodu car fella, isn't he? And then Jakub was going to go central, and then Car out on the wing, and we just keep the rest the same, I think.
Keep the rest the same. Greasy, I'm not sure if you're still with us, but you do have the opportunity to make any tactical alterations. I'll give you 30 seconds to do so. In the meantime, Martin, what a great start, at least. Up until this point, it was a great start. You took the lead on 12 minutes from Yakubu.
Yeah, pleased with that. I mean, a bit of an unexpected source of the actual goal, but we'll take it. I mean, he knows he's fighting for his place in the starting 11, so good to see that he takes it seriously. I wasn't overly concerned about conceding the equaliser. I had kind of thought that Lokomotiv Boston would be creating something. Del Vecchio, Olasedabi, good players, but it's going to be rough now if they score this penalty, I think. I mean, it's going to be rough anyway.
Nothing from Greavesy, so let's carry on with the penalty. And it's Cart for Pinardi, 3 minutes to be added on. Scholes puts the ball on the spot, and he does score. It's 2-1 Loco, and that takes us to half time. And a pretty even game, but now, as you say, it could be a long second half, Martin.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to be chasing the game and being a man down. That's obviously not an ideal situation to be in. So we'll just have to we'll have a look at the ratings once we get to that bit, and then we'll see if we want to make any changes. I'm just going to refer to my notes from my co-manager, from Mr. Haynes, and see what he says to that.
Your technical advisor. Well, while you refer
Indeed.
to your notes, I'll have a quick look at the Loco ratings here. Probably Olasadabe's best performance in about 4 seasons of the Super League. That first half with his 4 completed of 7 passes and his 2 attempts, 2 goals. Scholes, running things in midfield a little bit there. Petit, as always, being the main man, and Klompe putting in a solid performance at the back. Let's move over then to Gazelle. So Martin gets an opportunity to review his stats, and while he has a look at them, I'd just like to again point out the contribution there of Yakubu out on that right hand side until he got moved to centre back. 20 passing attempts, 15 completed, 3 of 5 tackles won as well. Not doing the job in the air, which is the only real weakness, but having his goal as well. No, it's not Fifey. He's been better. No, he hasn't, Steve. He was shit for me and even worse for you, and that's why you were delighted.
Was he not good at Churchtown though? Did he not score? Was that he not at Churchtown and score a couple of goals at Churchtown?
So in the last version of the save, he scored for fun at Churchtown, and that's why I was very excited when I got drafted. I was like, oh, I've got someone who he's got a proven track record in the Super League, and he was absolutely woeful. Woeful.
Yeah. My co-manager says not what we can do with that. I reckon we play on. I think we should move them. I think we talked about moving the fullbacks. I think we will move the fullbacks if that's a possibility at this stage. I forget what the rules are. We're going to move the fullbacks.
You can do whatever you like, Mike.
We're going to move the fullbacks up 1 and keep like a short arrow on them.
Like that?
Yeah, and then I don't know if that's going to make any difference, but we're going to try it, and then we'll see at 60 if we're going to bring on Fiore or Forlan.
Okay, let's do that then. As we kick off the second half, and we've already got to the 60-minute mark with absolute. I mean, you've probably not even seen it yet, Marty, but we have reached the 60-second minute. Well, literally nothing happened.
That made all the difference. Then I think that we're going to roll the dice and put Fiore on for Say Elias and put an arrow on him.
Fiore on for Say Elias. So you've got the 5-man arrow from midfield now to try and support Madeira. It's a bold move with 10 men. I actually quite respect the attacking intent. We will, again, just in case Greaves is woken up from his painkiller-induced nap and wants to make any changes. Look at Petit absolutely running things in midfield. 18 of 25.
Rather he didn't.
And also a solid job in terms of tackles. Yes, Steve, I did offer you him or Brujink, and you picked the wrong one. Because now look at Brujink. As I said, he's become fashionable. What a player he is. And Olasadabe, you've dished out on loan, but he has scored the equaliser so far in what is now a 2-1 Boston game. No Worthing Greavesy. So we kick off again, see if the tactical alteration does the job. It hasn't so far, and Boston come forward again, still with that lead. Carr goes into the book, and Van Bommel takes the free kick, and now on the counter, Gazelle's withholding some pressure. Now they come forward again themselves. Seedorf, Petit's there, unable to control, but Van Bommel picks it up. And here comes Olasadabe again. Barthez with a fine save, and the home side get a corner. Into the final 10 now. And Madeira and Dada, can they go on the counter here? And it's a yellow card for Sagnol against his former side. And Tudor chips it forward to Petit. Can they wrap this game up now? Olasadabe offside. 85 on the clock now. And Van Bommel winning it in the air. And it's Madeira. Peruzzi saves. And Van Bommel manages to pick up the loose ball. I'll come back to you in a minute on that, Steve. As the full-time whistle goes and it ends, unfortunately for my co-commentator, Locomotive Boston 2, Gazelles 1. Always difficult when you're a man down, Martin. I think, you did create, or you got into positions at least to create a couple of chances, but Greavesy is notoriously good at defending, so it was always going to be difficult.
Yeah, up against 11 when you're down to 10, you're away to Lokomotiv Boston, who aren't the most attacking side anyway. So, if it had been a more open side or a team with more attacking players, then perhaps we would have thought, maybe we can hit them on the counter or do something. But it didn't really work out because, I mean, as you alluded to already, Petit was really running the show in defensive midfield. It's difficult to get past. We were kind of limited with what we can do, and you can see the numbers there. I mean, Klumpe getting a 9 and all of this. Yeah, I mean, Samuel. I mean, I don't know. He's had some bad deals with me, I think, Mr. Greavesy, but. Yeah, a good performance from Lokomotiv Boston. He'll be pleased with that. I mean, 3 points on the board for them, and a relatively easy win after that. Their red card, not a lot happened. A couple of chances were created, but
No, I completely agree with your assessment there. And then a look at your stats. Barthez doing well. Smertin actually putting in a good performance as well in midfield. It has to be noted. Carr doing a reasonable effort when he came on. In difficult circumstances. Fiore not really having the impact you required for his half-hour cameo. But positives to take despite defeat?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Bartes is doing well. The defense is working okay, apart from that sending off. I think Udesi getting a 6 is perhaps a little bit harsh, considering that he played with Yakubu, who isn't really a central defender, next to him and didn't concede for the rest of the game, for the 70 minutes or whatever the 50 minutes that was left. I'm very pleased with Smerts and his performance. Very pleased that Seedorf keeps getting assists. Tomadera was running, was doing things. He's doing all right. Perhaps in hindsight, should we have kept Salius on? Did it make a difference to take him off and put Fiore on? I'm not entirely sure, but I wasn't prepared to go all in and put Forlan on and move him up and etc. So I'd hope we would have been able to hit them on the counter, get one and take the 2-2, but it wasn't to be. And fair play to Greaves. He sets up to defend and to win at home as well as away, and it worked out for him today.
So that brings us to the classified results of the evening. So it was Churchtown 2, Bostock Stanley 1, Fulchester 1, Aston 0. Halls and Sloths playing out that fantastic 3-3 draw. The night started with Ledisford 2, Dudley 2. We've just seen Loco beat Gazelles 2-1. Haggis got that win 2-0 away from Bern, the only away side to pick up a win, which, if I remember rightly, the home sides on Sunday were all undefeated as well. So it looks like the early indications are it's going to be very difficult playing away from home this year. And Devils coming from behind to beat Dragons 2-1. 2 games into the season, it has to be said, so not much to be taken. But Haggis Hunters and Fulchester, the ones with maximum records. You've got Sloths, Devils, and you've got Sloths and Devils also there with unbeaten records. Dragons and Aston making up the top 6 after 2 games. And down the bottom, Northern Bern, the only pointless side after 2. You've got Ledisford, Bostock, Gazelles, Halls, Dudley also there, all without a win in the first 2 games. Churchtown and Loco outside the top 6 on goal difference. So 2 games in, first week out the way, Martin. Next round of fixtures, Bank Holiday Monday. Packs will be out tomorrow. Your comments on the action that you've seen this evening?
Yeah, very entertaining. Fully deserved for Haggis to be top of the table. They've had 2 really good results so far. Fulchester as well, being very professional about the whole thing and playing well as Macca can get them to do. So yeah, I think it's fair play for the 2 sides who have gotten off to the best start, and then it's just up to the rest of us to catch up. Oof, that's a tasty fixture we've got coming up there against Northern Bern.
Well, let's have a look. Let's have a quick look at Bank Holiday Monday's fixtures then. Well, Jens is saying Hull season's finished after getting smacked in Scotland next match. His side aren't in Scotland; they're in Oldham. As they go to Astor. Bostock versus Fulchester, normally good games those. Dragons entertain Loco, style clash in that game. 2 of Champ's bestest friends, Dudley Hill and Churchtown, go head to head. As you already allude to, Gazelles versus Northern Bern. Haggis host Ledisford. And, the managers go back to their former clubs as Sloths entertain Devils. Obviously, anybody interested in comms on Bank Holiday Monday, please drop me a message. Martin, thank you very much as always for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you to everyone in the chat, from the regulars to the not so familiar names, particularly Rodeo Bibbins, who's been commenting throughout the whole night. Thanks for staying for the whole show. Hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, hope to see you again. Final words from you, Martin, before we conclude for the evening.
Good luck to Aidan with his assessment.
Thank you.
And looking forward to having a battle royale with our very good friends down at Northern Burn on Bank Holiday Monday. Yeah, absolutely. If I survive, I will be out on a massive cycling ride that I will no doubt regret. So we'll see. We'll see. Nowhere near the kind of level of excitement and physical exercise that Aidan will go through, but I'm also not as fit or as young as him, so everything is relative.
Yeah, sadly, nor am I. It was scheduled to be my black belt assessment as well, but due to the ankle injury I picked up on New Year's Eve that still hasn't cleared, and given that I still can't do any exercise that involves sort of a jumping motion, I've had to postpone mine for a year because they only do them once a year, so I'll be grading for it in 2023.
He'll have the bragging rights of the household for a year. Then that's not too bad for him, is it?
I don't mind. I'm as much as I'm gutted to be missing it myself. I'm also pleased to be able to play the supporting role in letting Aidan have his moment.
True.
But no, thank you again for your time. Thank you everyone for your kind words towards Aidan. I'll be sure to let him know that you've all wished him your best. But from Super League HQ until Bank Holiday Monday, it's a very, very good night.